So, big news on the tax front. In 2025, India's goods and services tax, the GST, is getting a massive overhaul. And this isn't just about tweaking a few numbers. We're talking about a fundamental redesign to make the whole system simpler and hopefully leave more money in your pocket. So, what's really changing and how's it going to affect you and me? Let's get into it. Okay, this quote from the Ministry of Finance really sets the stage, right? They're framing this as being citizen-centric and about enhancing quality of life. I mean, that's a pretty powerful mission statement for tax reform. The question is, do the details actually back it up? To really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 6 key parts. We'll start with the big picture, then dig into the new, simpler tax slabs, see how it impacts your wallet and some key industries, check out what it means for businesses, and finally, look at the timeline for when all this happens. So first things first, what's the big idea behind all this? Well, it's really a fundamental shift in thinking. The whole goal is to create a GST system that actually works for people, one that focuses on making daily life a little easier and creates a much better environment for businesses to grow. And when you look at these objectives, you can see just how comprehensive this is. It's not just one thing. They're connecting everything, from what you pay at the grocery store and your healthcare costs, all the way to supporting farmers and, crucially, slashing the red tape for businesses. It's a really wide-ranging vision. Okay, so the big question is, how are they actually making things simpler? Well, the heart of the whole reform is a complete overhaul of the tax rates, getting rid of that old, clunky structure that, let's be honest, was pretty confusing for a lot of people. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The old, super complicated 4-rate system, gone. In its place, we've got this new, streamlined, simple tax structure. The whole point is to have way fewer rates to keep track of, which should make things a lot clearer for everybody. So here's what the new setup looks like. It basically boils down to 3 main buckets. You've got a 5% merit rate for all the essential stuff. Then there's a single standard rate of 18%, and that's going to cover most goods and services. And finally, a 40% demerit rate for just a few things like sugary drinks. All right, new tax rates are great, but what does this actually mean for your wallet? Let's get down to it, because this is where the reform really hits home and affects our day-to-day spending. Well, with all these new, lower rates, the direct impact for most of us is going to be pretty straightforward. A whole lot of things are about to get cheaper. And I mean, look at this list. We're talking about everyday things like soap and toothpaste, kitchen essentials like butter and paneer, and even things like parathas are now tax-free. For a lot of these staples, the tax is either getting slashed to just 5% or completely wiped out. That's the kind of savings that can really add up. And this is a really big deal. GST on all individual life and health insurance policies is dropping to 0, zilch. That change alone could make crucial insurance coverage so much more affordable for millions of families across the country. But it's not just the stuff you buy every week. We're talking big ticket purchases too. That highest tax slab of 28% is being brought down to the new standard 18% rate for things like TVs, air conditioners, small cars, and motorcycles. Even cement is getting cheaper, which is fantastic news if you're thinking about building a home.
All right, so beyond our own pockets, the reform is also aimed at giving a major leg up to some of the most vital sectors of the economy, specifically healthcare and agriculture.
The healthcare sector is getting a massive break here. The tax on 33 life-saving drugs is just gone, wiped out completely. For most other medicines, the rate is dropping to 5%. And crucial medical devices and equipment are also seeing huge tax cuts. All of this is aimed at making healthcare more affordable and accessible. And farmers are getting a lot of attention here too, by slashing the GST on essential gear like tractors and irrigation systems, and even on the core ingredients for fertilizers. The goal is to directly lower the costs for farmers. Hopefully, that helps improve their bottom line and boost productivity. And hey, it's not just about physical goods. A bunch of common services are getting cheaper as well. Things like hotel rooms under 7,500 rupees, or going to a salon or a gym. The GST on those is dropping to 5%. This also helps key sectors like renewable energy and textiles, giving them a nice little boost. So for anyone running a business, this is huge. The reforms aren't just about tax rates. They're about hacking away at all that frustrating red tape. The whole idea is to simplify compliance and just make it fundamentally easier to do business in India. This right here is an absolute game changer for new businesses. There's a new optional registration scheme for low-risk applicants. It promises an automated approval in just 3 working days. That means entrepreneurs can get their businesses up and running way, way faster. They're also tackling some other major headaches for businesses. Think faster refunds, which is so important for cash flow, especially if you're an exporter. Plus, they're setting up a new tribunal to handle disputes more efficiently, which should give traders a lot more certainty.
Okay, so the million-dollar question, when does all of this actually kick in? The timeline is pretty clear, and it's definitely something we all need to keep in mind.
All right, get your calendars out. The magic date is September 22nd, 2025. That's when the new, lower GST rates for almost all goods and all services are set to take effect. For a few of those demerit items, the changes will be announced a bit later.
So, when you step back and look at it all, this GST overhaul is way more than just a tax adjustment. It's a total change in philosophy. The key insight here is the shift from a complex system you have to fight against to a simple framework that's designed to actually work for you, to lower your costs and to boost the economy. With such a huge piece of the economic puzzle now simplified, it really makes you wonder, what's the next big reform India needs?